right. So here for episode 3 of Tea Time, we're going to talk a little bit about uh, how we got started in competitive style gaming, and I wanted to ask Marksman about uh, the how he got started in an amateur COD competition, and like going from just somebody that plays the game, even seriously, but to then actually be entering tournaments and launching a whole brand associated with it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I kind of started the competitive gaming when I got injured for baseball because it's like I have all that competitive energy just kind of sitting there, not doing anything. So it makes it kind of, with no outlet, I figured at the time, I was always really good at Call of Duty. I just, played it for fun though. And I heard about that. I didn't even know competitive Call of Duty was a thing, but so yeah, that's kind of how I started it. But it grew into, a lot of people not in competitive Call of Duty don't really understand the way it works. It is very aggressive, like the industry. There are people that, a lot of people you meet that you would team with, not very nice people, or very patient, if that makes sense. A lot of organizations don't give you more than like one chance to prove that you're good enough or that, it would even work out. So for me, I never was in the industry, so I didn't really get a fair shot because I was okay, but by anyone else's standards, I wasn't, on par to them. I say that because I'm golfing. But
Great fun.
I kind of was forced to make my own team, and I brought in one of my good friends now. His name is Dr. Siege, or Dr. CJ, depending on who's talking to him. But he taught me how to play Call of Duty, and in turn, I kind of taught like how to make the branding and all that stuff because I've always had a like to do that. I mean, sometimes I'll be just sitting around and think of new branding for the game. So we were just sitting around and we made our own team, basically. And at first we were Toxic Gaming, which we liked the brand, but we felt like, we talked a lot about in the last 2 episodes reaching people and how allowing people into your brand. Toxic Gaming, it gets a bad rap from the start,
Yeah.
It was cool branding, we made it work, but it also didn't fully sit with what we wanted to do as an organization, because we brought in people that, had potential, but didn't really, weren't the best, but we were also accepting of that, and we wanted to give them their shot, basically. So Toxic Gaming was everyone else but us, if that makes sense. So we didn't want that to kind of represent our brand anymore. But I kind of always viewed the Toxic Gaming more, toxic is a word in the gaming industry where it's like, you're a bad person or you're kind of scummy, if that makes sense. But I more viewed it as like the bad guys. I always kind of liked the villains, obviously by the name choice we switched to, of the story, and I thought that would be cool in Call of Duty to, be those people. Not like bad in that sense, but like we also aren't the good guys. We want to destroy your team. We want to be the best type of attitude. And I was just sitting around one day and I was like, I kind of like that better. And then we decided to roll with it. And immediately we kind of
You have the logo too that I think captures that villain's ethos, that it makes the brand like it's not bad to be competitive,
right?
But I like the slogan that you have though, that every story needs a villain, and that's absolutely true. And for for like Steeler fans, the Ravens are
Yeah,
always the villain, but for Ravens fans, the Steelers are always the villains.
yeah.
Any kind of sports has that, and so
Hmm.
for you to kind of embrace that in your branding makes a lot of sense. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I like it. As a sports fan, I mean, I've been around teams. As on my baseball team, we were probably the best team in Pennsylvania there for a good while. On my travel team, obviously not where I went to high school, but we were always kind of seen as the bad guys. You know, every tournament we were the favorites. So I've kind of been around that, and I thought that's cool. So when I was coming up with like the logo concepts, I really liked it's more of a mysterious look. I mean, you get the capture of like obviously, he's not just some nice guy. He's mysterious. He's got like a fedora on, but it's also very, not like violent and abrasive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of classic villains that have that kind of look of. Um, I think of like a mobster, right?
Right.
Mobsters are horrible people,
Yeah,
but yet we love them.
because
In
hmm
both in history, but also like when they were alive, they did awful things
right.
to their competition, but were beloved by their friends
Yes.
and neighbors.
There's tons of stories in history where mobsters were, either protected by the people in a town because they were kind of
Yep,
viewed as, folk heroes in a sense.
absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly
So,
right.
so yeah, I tried to capture a little bit of that. Um,
How do we jump this?
I'm very confused right now. I'm looking at this. I was like,
Oh, you just go hard enough.
just go smack it. Okay, that makes sense. No, but yeah. So getting into leagues though was a big challenge from there because I've never. You got to know a lot of people to be successful in finding leagues. That's another thing that Call of Duty is very bad at. They have the pro league, they have their amateur league, but everything else is very poorly run. So finding leagues, a lot of leagues mid-season they'd shut down, and
Right.
we were just confused. There's no storylines because nobody cares about that. They just care to play and either play for prize money or where are we going again? I'm so confused. They play for prize money or play for whatever the objective was at the time. So it wasn't something I was used to because obviously in sports tournaments they don't just shut down for no reason, you know, because you
Sure.
you kind of are there and like what I noticed pro Call of Duty had storylines and as a storyteller I really liked that. So we kind of developed as the parent company, which my brother actually came up with. I don't know if I've ever told you this. New Century Esports, uh, odd name. This is when we were coming up with a replacement for Toxic Gaming. My brother said, it's a cool name, New Century Esports, and I was like, that doesn't really fit the brand I want, but that's a pretty decent idea, right? I mean, I've heard worse
Right.
names, so
Well,
we
yeah, and it's good too because these are two different brands, right?
right,
Like
yeah,
your team is not the same as the league.
right,
And so having those as two separate organizations does make a lot of sense.
right.
And
Well,
that is a good name. Well, I don't think I ever told you this, but when I first saw New Century Esports on Twitter and that the villains were playing in it, I didn't know that it was your league
yeah,
because I just thought you found a league and joined it. I thought
right.
the branding all felt like it was like a not that you're not legit, but it just felt like it was an already established league. And I
Yeah,
thought it was
that's
smart that you
always the
guys
goal.
made sure that everybody had a logo and that
Hmm.
you present it in a professional way.
Right. I guess that was one of the things that I get. I mean, I do the league for free. I run it because I want the Call of Duty amateur scene to grow. I don't do it because I'm making money. Everything's free entry for everyone, and we still do prize pools and stuff based on sponsorship. So, but I get a lot of flack because they're like, you're not prioritizing what's really important. Like you're prioritizing promos or certain things that just aren't accustomed to amateur Call of Duty. They're all about the games. They don't care why you're playing the games. It's just play as much as possible. But we really prioritize, logos, trying to grow these organizations, whether they want to or not. Some of them are very stubborn with that. But we get their names out there. We do the promotion for them. We set up different. Where are we going?
Through the hole in the wall, I think.
There's a hole in the wall? Oh, okay. I see.
Like straight ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we develop all this stuff for these teams so they can get a, like you said, legitimacy to the league and just to the amateur scene in general. Because, like I said, nobody really cares about that stuff down there. So developing all that was a bit of a struggle. Our first year, I would say. I mean, we did a okay job at promotion, but we also did a pretty bad job at we just based it off of the professional league, which is, like you said, you don't know a whole lot about professional Call of Duty, but it's very poorly set up. It's basic, it's boring. So going into this year, we added, as much as you can franchise in a free league, but cities. So each team represents a city, where the villains represent Las Vegas now. Our second team used to be, our academy team. They wanted to be in the league. We gave them LA. They're the LA Glitch. So everyone represents a city. We're going to expand on that throughout the season. We have themed majors this year, which are just big tournaments, basically. So it takes a lot, but it's very rewarding to develop all that stuff. And, it's something I've never done. I've mostly been a player all my life. I play games. I don't really manage leagues. I mean, I'm only 18, but it is actually surprisingly fun to do, I will say. I did not expect that at all. And
yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, because if you like doing branding and logo design and art and writing, like working on developing all of that out, it is related.
Right. Yeah.
I have no idea where
we have to get in that little bin thing. See it in the middle.
In the bin?
Yeah, right where I just did.
Oh.
But I bounced out, which is garbage. Yeah, I think some of the best and convincing story, like I said, as a Steelers fan, all the storylines developed by sports, like, they're all natural because it's competition. Some of those are like the coolest, like, you can't write them, but they happened anyway type things. So just giving a space for that in my league is really what we prioritized. But it's a very interesting scene, and esports itself is very interesting. It's very new, and some people want to make it like regular sports, like football, like baseball, whatever you want to say. But in my opinion, you kind of gotta go with what you got. Baseball has how many years of fan base? They've been able to develop that just based on it's been around since early 1900s, I believe, maybe before that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's years and years. That's national television. Esports is kind of new. I mean, video games are new. So, if they can play to the strengths of the newness, but also, add a little bit of what you would call structure to it, to give it a professional feel is kind of a weird balance in esports.
And traditional sports are having trouble right now maintaining interest.
Yeah, I mean, baseball, I think personally, it seems to have lost a lot of steam.
And people watch highlights, and if they like a team, a lot of times it's because it's passed down, tradition in their family or something like that. But what esports allows you to do, in my opinion. So I don't watch a whole lot of COD, but I've watched some PUBG esports, some Rocket League esports, uh, those kinds of things. And despite really liking Farm Sim, I do not watch the Farm Sim League. But there
Yeah,
is a Farm Sim League.
that is like is. I don't want to go off topic, so I won't. But that seems very interesting. I'd probably have to read into that a
Well,
little later. But
it's yeah, and um,
oh, you hit the gong? What? Okay.
yeah, that's the whole. But I can't get enough height with where I'm stuck, so I think I'm gonna.
Just smack it. But
Whoa, uh, yeah, I need to be like back to catch more of the ramp. I don't know if it makes sense to give myself some room. Uh, I ran out of strokes. But yeah, and we won't get into Farm Sim League and in this
yeah,
episode or
maybe
anything,
later.
but
But
I do think that uh, there's something special about esports, and with the amount of things like CTE that's coming with a lot of traditional sports, and the cost and competitiveness, a lot of kids that are like, you know, maybe they're regionally good or locally good at whatever their physical sport is, but they can take that work ethic and competitive drive and put it into esports.
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of esports pros out there in a variety of different games that have a background in something else. I mean, there's
Right.
heck, there's pro athletes that also play
Mm-hmm.
at a high level. I was thinking about Juju Smith-Schuster,
Right.
but there's other guys that have done that because it's fun, and
Mm-hmm.
the competitive aspect. Like, you can win money and you can win tournaments and trophies and get sponsorships and like all the same things you can get with traditional sports, and you don't have to put your body through a meat grinder to do it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I really like about esports, and like you said, even pro athletes that are willing, to do all the physical work. It's just a different kind of game. It either involves
Sure.
strategy or whatever the particular esport is. It involves something that like you got to be competitive and you got to have that kind of drive to be
Yeah.
successful at, no matter what
Just,
your thing is specifically.
and there
So,
is mechanical skill involved in
oh
video
yeah,
games.
I can say that for 100% fact. I've as somebody like I said that started with traditional sports. you know, it took me a long time to get good, like just from a talent perspective. There's
Yep.
other stuff, but like mechanically good at a game is like I always viewed it like it's just a game. It's easy, you hop on, you play it.
Right.
But there's a lot that is involved in that would surprise people that have never tried it.
Yeah.
So I just think.
And playing in a pub match
Mhm.
and having a positive KDR in a pub match
Right,
versus playing against professionals who are or near professionals, like amateurs that are coordinated, they practice together, they have
right,
strategies.
it's crazy different.
It's worlds apart. I mean, it's just
Right.
completely different.
Yeah, I mean that. Like I said, I thought I was really good at Call of Duty. That's why I started this whole thing. But I tell you, I used to drop 80 plus kills in a public match, and I couldn't get past like 15 kills in a regular match. I mean, if you don't know, the average is usually 30 to 40. So it's worlds different, and I think whether you can or can't do the physical sports, it's very interesting to try if you've never tried it, or at least get into by watching it at first, because
Mm-hmm.
it engages a different kind of thinking in your mind that may benefit you in real sports. I know I was injured, but after I started the competitive Call of Duty venture, I was able to communicate better with my baseball teammates, because that's a big part of esports is communication. You may not be sitting in the same room, but you have to communicate just the same as if you were in the dugout or bench with somebody. So
Yep.
there's really a lot of important stuff that goes on with esports, and it's very interesting. And like we were talking about, it doesn't have to be a shooter game. Like you were saying to me earlier, if you want to talk about, you had a banished esports tournament or something that you hosted, and that's different in some aspects, but I'm sure it's a bit of the same, you know?
Yeah, so so Banished is a historical city building game, not at all like the esports that we've been talking about. But I always wanted to find a way to compete in the game, but it's a solo game. So I came up with this idea using one of the mod packs where we would start with the exact same map seed and the same everything the same, right? We're starting off same number of people, same map. And then I used the first one was I called it the gold race.
Hmm.
And one of the resources that you get in the game is you can get gold and make gold bars. But the only thing you use them for is to buy other resources. But I wanted that to be like how we kept score, basically.
Okay.
So there were a few of us that played. We started with the same map, and we you would play a while, like a half hour, 45 minutes in game, and then record a video that kind of explained where you made it to, and
Hmm.
and your score. And it was a lot of fun. We were never in the same room, but we still found a way to compete against each other. And so the funny thing was the first one I set up, I won, and I was like, see, this is really cool, and I can't wait to do another one. So I
Yeah.
got a little cocky,
Uh,
and I made another one, and I wanted to like grow this venture.
right.
So I went to like a Facebook community of banished players, and I was like, hey, I did this other competition, and of course I was trying to promote my own videos too. Like, this is not
Right.
all selfless. But I was like, hey, I did this gold race and it was really fun, and I want to do another competition. And what was it? Oh, this is a wild hole.
This is crazy.
Oh, tap the doors open. Um, and I think it was like population based or something. I forget how I determined the scoring for the second one.
Hmm.
But this woman from Sweden, I think somewhere in Europe, there more people played in the second one that I ran. This
Yeah.
woman from maybe it was Norway, somewhere over in like Scandinavia, absolutely demolished me, dude. I mean, like, it wasn't even close. I was out of the competition in like the second video. I was dumbfounded. And we started with the exact same conditions,
Right.
I still am not entirely sure how. Trust me, I reviewed the VODs, I'm like,
Yeah.
how
Are you
did I
cheating?
get beat so bad by this person? And it was a very cool and humbling experience, though, to play this game that I mean, because it's not competitive. You can't know how good you are compared to other people unless you set up this competition. But
Yeah.
I thought it would be a fun example, though, of how we can
Where are we?
use competition to make a storyline for our content. Oh, what? I made it down
That
there. Why
is
didn't it count?
great. No, you see, you gotta go hit the sidewall. I don't know if you can see where I'm at, but it's like Inception stuff going on here. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm just very confused. Oh, there, I see now.
Well, I don't understand.
There's a. Are you by the ramp one? No, there's a platform that has a ramp that's not moving. Okay.
Oh, over there. Oops.
Yeah. Then you
So
use that to hit until you get to the wall. So you just
That's
smack it towards the wall. It is very. I thought you were going dropping down. That's where I got confused.
well, I did, and now I'm on a plant. I don't get it.
Oh.
Oh, I think it. I think
Double
I'm gonna
buggy.
max out on this one. It's not looking
Yeah,
good for
we
the
ran
home
out of
team.
time. But I
Oh,
went.
okay.
Holy cow! I was not under 80. I was not under 80. You watched episode
Oh
2.
my
I
word!
failed
Well,
myself.
you got your first win at
I got
least.
my first win. I'm 1-2 now. Let's go. But not very good.
Dude, we were
We gotta
terrible.
practice. I don't know what we're doing.
Well, this was the wildest one.
It was very different.
There was a lot of stuff that was not just like hit an angle and hope it goes in. I mean, look at some of these scores. We got all these 14s and 10s and 11s and
Yeah, the one where you had to get it into the little pot face thing was different.
But yeah, so the reason I thought this would make sense for us to talk about, one, I wanted to hear more of the story of how you started your league. So thanks for answering that. But also, I think that a lot of times people look at content creation and they're like, well, I play this single player game, or I just play these pubs in this whatever other kind of game. But competition immediately makes a storyline. So if
Right.
there's something, even if you're just trying to beat yourself, I mean, we're playing golf right now.
Mhm.
Golf is always a story of, can I get a better score than the last time I played? Like, yeah, I want to beat you. I want to beat you because we're playing together. But ultimately, I want to have a better score the next time I play this course than I did this time. And I think that's a trick. That's a kind of hack, a productivity or YouTube productivity hack, is to give yourself a task, whether it's like a speed run or some type of score or how long can you last in the game or whatever. But give yourself that challenge and then introduce that for your viewer. Can we do this? Can we beat this time? Can we have a round under 80 in our next episode?
Right.
Setting up those challenges, because people inherently want to either root for you or root against you. They want to be a part of they want to have an investment and a rooting interest in whatever they're watching. And that's why, like, the plain old let's play video, which is really common for creators, is just say, yeah, hey, this is me playing a game. Like,
Right.
but what are you doing in the game?
Right.
What are you doing that other people can relate to? I've played Call of Duty before. I don't know necessarily what it means to play certain positions or whatever that you do, and some of the higher level strategy that you do. But I know what it's like to get a kill streak. So if I see a highlight video and you get a kill streak, you're like tearing it up, like that's something that I can say, oh, I've done that once or twice, but he does it regularly because he's at a higher level, and that gives me an instant appreciation. And I think adding competition into our narratives helps to advance our content, even if what we're doing isn't necessarily inherently competitive.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Hey guys, thank you for watching episode 3 of Tea Time. Once again, if you did enjoy the content, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, go follow Bluebelly Gaming on YouTube and also my main channel, Villains Marksman, on YouTube. Thanks for watching and have a good day.